Welcome to the Private Practice Startup, where we inspire you from startup to mastery. We chat with entrepreneurs, experts in the mental health and business arenas, and successful private practitioners to give you the tools needed to make your dream practice a reality. Visit theprivatepracticestartup.com for awesome resources, free trainings, and so much more. Here are your hosts, Dr. Kate Campbell and Katie Lemieux. What's up, Startup Nation? We are back again for another awesome episode of the Private Practice Startup Podcast. I am Dr. Kate Campbell, and I'm here with
Katie Lemieux.
Katie Lemieux. Yes, friend, co-host, business partner, aka BP. Yes, all that good stuff. So we had an awesome show last week with Michael Feuerman. He talked about the 10 things you need to know before signing your private practice office lease. So if you haven't heard that already, make sure you go back and check that out. We offered tons of practice building value bombs and ninja tips as usual. And we are super excited for today's podcast guest expert. We've got Laura Long, and she is the owner of Your Badass Therapy Practice. So, hey, Laura, welcome.
What's up, guys?
What's up? Good to have you here.
Thank you so much for having me. This is awesome.
Yeah, so Laura is actually an LMFT, and she's up in South Carolina, and she also has the Your Badass Therapy Practice building and coaching business. So we're super excited to have her on the podcast today.
Yes. And so before we get started, it was interesting because Laura and I have been doing a lot of talking this week leading up to this podcast. And the conversation came from branding, which was really sparked by one of our audience members, Startup Nation, kind of saying it's Kate, it's interesting. I'm hearing you talk about this, your badass this and your badass that, and that's really not your brand. And so that got Laura and I in this really cool conversation about branding. And, Kate and I love branding. You guys know that already. And if you don't know that, where have you been?
Yeah, we're a little crazy about it.
And obviously Laura's brand is very different. And so she's a little off the cuff. She's, a little edgy and stuff like that. And so you might hear cursing if you joined her tribe, and that's what she's about. But, Laura and I were talking that your brand is really who you are. It's your authentic expression.
Oh, wait, what? Oh. Got to do the authenticity cowbell.
Speaking of brand, that's part of our brand.
You guys are so great. I love this.
Oh, thanks. So, our brands are completely different. Even though we're both, or all three of us, are practice building experts, you're going to get a different feel with Laura than you would with us. And really, we brought her here on today because she has a lot of awesome resources. If you like her brand and you're for it, awesome. Join her, connect with her, work with her. And if you don't, that's okay too, because that's exactly what branding is about. Branding is finding the people that you connect with and they connect with you. Laura, you want to add anything to our discussion from earlier this week on that?
That was amazing how you just worded that, because I think it absolutely not only has to do with what we're doing as practice builders, but it has a lot to do, it translates back to the clients that we work with who are therapists, and those therapists are also trying to have their own tribes, right? Absolutely. So I hope anyone listening here can really see that it trickles down. So you therapists out there who are really trying to market yourselves, that whole authenticity piece that Kate or Katie was just
now you got the cowbell, girl.
That piece is so important to therapists too. So anyone listening, think about that in terms of yourself and your own practice. Who do you present as in the therapy room? That is your authentic self, right? So you guys are going to have your own tribes, and you want to be very crystal clear about who you want your tribe to be. We usually use the term ideal client, right? But that's your tribe. Those are the people who, they don't just want therapy, they want therapy from you. So just to add to that, you guys did a great job though.
Yeah, exactly. And it's interesting. We had previously done a podcast with Yolanda Harper, and we're really talking about the whole idea about having tribes and things like that. So if you guys wanted to listen to that podcast, that was a really cool one. Is she actually started a private practice, considered what most of us might say, well, we failed at it, but then she recreated it and really lived into her authentic self. And actually, she had just posted in our Facebook group, because we had just ran an ad on Super Therapist brand, and she actually has a little kid in a cape on her website. And so that was just really cool. So branding's really cool. It's a lot of fun, but we're actually not here to talk about branding today. We are here to talk about Laura's 5 secrets of a badass directory profile. But before we do that, we have some questions for Laura.
Yeah, let's do it.
And actually, before we get into questions, we just wanted to acknowledge, if you're a first-time listener, we have a special gift for you. We want to welcome you to Startup Nation. We're so excited you're here. Make sure you go to our resources tab and download the A to Z cheat sheet that's on our website at theprivatepracticestartup.com. And if you are a returning listener, we are so glad to have you back. We hope you guys connect with us within our Facebook community. And yeah, let's dive into our topic. So Laura, tell us what led you into the business you're in now with your Badass Therapy practice.
Well, I think like most coaches, it almost fell into my lap. I found myself helping other people who are local to me with their private practices. And it had never occurred to me to do this, to do exactly what I'm doing right now. Like if you had told me 2-3 years ago that I'd be doing this, I would just like call you a liar. So, actually, it started last summer. One of my very close colleagues who now works with me, she was just starting her private practice in my office, and she was coming to me all the time with questions, and I loved it. I was helping her. It energized me. And at one point, she was just like, you need to do this. You need to help people. And so I didn't even at that time consider coaching. It was more or less, I'm just going to start a blog. Like maybe I'll just create this blog. I'll write. Like apparently what I have to say is a little different. So I'll start this blog, and then people started reading it, and you can kind of see how that has a trickle effect, and it kind of snowballed. And so here I am now, and I have some courses and things like that, and an email list, all that good stuff. But that was not actually the original intent. It was just to have a blog and put some information out there specifically for therapists in private practice.
Super cool.
And it's so important to just be giving value and contributing and doing what you're passionate about. And when you do that and you're authentic about it, you end up attracting your ideal clients anyway. So it's like you attracted this coaching position, which is really cool.
Yeah. I did this 60-day challenge back in January. I just offered it to whoever would do it. I didn't charge anything for it. I had a group of about 140 therapists do it. And it was so funny because the 60-day challenge was over. I hadn't given any thought to anything beyond that. And those people came back and said, okay, what's next? And I was like, oh, I didn't think about that. I had no idea what's next. So.
You said, oh, fiddlesticks. I guess I have to create something now. Darn. And it's really cool because Laura, as you talk about tribe, your tribe actually pushed you to be who you are and express your authentic self.
They really did, because when I first started this blog, my idea was, okay, I love doing therapy. I'm not going to stop doing therapy, but if I'm going to start this blog on the side, it's going to be my outlet, which means that I'm not going to be my therapist self on the blog. Mm-hmm. I'm going to be me, like 100%. If I'm going to do this and take time out of my day and away from my family to do this blog, no holds barred. I'm just going to be me, and whoever reads and enjoys it and is picking up what I'm putting down, they're going to love that about me. But those who read it and are like, oh, I don't really like her style. She's a little bit too edgy for me. They won't respond to that, or it won't resonate with them. And that's okay too. Just like you were saying earlier.
Yeah. What would you say is the best advice that you've ever received that relates to being an entrepreneur?
If a product or service is that good, price is a mere triviality. That's the best advice I got. So nice. Really, if the service you're providing, if whatever it is that you're putting out into the world, if it truly is helping people, connecting with people, getting them to a better place, then the price is actually secondary. But I think a lot of entrepreneurs focus too much on, will people pay this, or what should I charge for this, that, or the other thing, and really just focus on the customer first.
It's so funny you say that. It's funny you say that because a lot of times we record on Friday, and I also have supervision on Friday, and we were actually talking about this very thing. And so many times in supervision, it's really related to the topic of the podcast or in some way. So that's really cool that you say that. And I agree. I can't agree more.
Let's actually just dive into your topic, the 5 secrets of a badass directory profile.
But before we do that, so we are going to dive in, but when Laura agreed to do this podcast with us, we decided to shake things up. And one of the things, and I just want to say this to you guys, Startup Nation, is one of the things that Kate and I really love to do is create an experience in the way that we teach. And we said, we need to really begin to shift our podcast a little bit. So Laura's actually the first one that was like, yeah, let's do this. Is not only today, so today we're going to talk about the 5 secrets of a badass directory profile, but we had ran a contest in May for 2 lucky winners to actually have their Psychology Today profile reviewed by Laura, and she's going to give them direct feedback on that. So if you're listening today and you're like, that's really meaty and juicy, you're going to definitely want to listen to the podcast the following week after this, or if the episode after this, where she's going to give direct feedback on this. And so this is really engaging you, Startup Nation, and really having an experience with us. And really getting, Laura's secret sauce or her secret formula to a badass directory profile. So so like Kate said, let's just dive right in. What is number 1?
Okay, number 1, 100%, you absolutely have to have a professional headshot for your Psychology Today or your profile directory. It doesn't necessarily have to be taken by a photographer. It could be, iPhone 5s and 6s and 7s nowadays. They take pretty good pictures. But if I see another half-assed selfie taken in your car or some odd, strange picture with your pet or something that's fuzzy, I don't know what I'm going to do with myself. So yes, absolutely. Number one, the first secret is to have a professional picture of yourself that really demonstrates or showcases your personality, your brand, your authenticity. Ring that cowbell.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
There it is again by your side.
I know. Yep. I'm going to keep it super close. It's so funny because I have a group practice down here in South Florida. And we've got like 13 practitioners here at the office. And sometimes the professional photos that they'll submit, I'm like, no, that's not going to cut it. I'm sorry. We can't have this picture of you standing, in a restaurant / bar, cocktail cut out of your hand. Like that's not going to fly. So,
and I would also say a current professional photo. Don't use one from 10, 20 years ago. I remember I was meeting actually, and this is ironic now as I say it, I'm thinking about it, a woman who did marketing, and her photo on her, Google Plus or whatever, the one that comes through on the email, was this picture of her. And I had this had this picture of her in my mind. And when I met her, and I'm not saying this to be mean, but she had lots of wrinkles on her face. And I was thinking like, oh my gosh, her picture must have been from 20 years ago. So I think that's really important, especially when you're talking about being authentic, is really having that up-to-date picture of you, because what do people think, because clients see us first before they even enter our office. I know I'm always surprised when I open the door, right? Because you probably are having this idea of what your clients might look like on the phone, right? Because we don't see them first. They usually see us first. And I think it's really important to not only show who we are through the stuff that we write on our website, on our profile, but also that picture really needs to be representative of us.
I think the worst field for this, who is the most guilty, are real estate agents. Have you guys seen the real estate agent pictures? Maybe it's on their business card and you call them up and you get them to come to your house and all of a sudden you're like, wow, you are 30 years older than this picture. I agree.
Go ahead. Sorry, Laura, go ahead.
I agree with you guys, definitely having one that's current, but I also want to make sure that the audience is hearing me right. Professional doesn't necessarily mean stuffy. It just means professional, as in, like you guys said, not taken in a bar. So it could look like it just has a pretty background or whatever showcases your personality. So, if you wear a suit to the office every single day, then yeah, it would be you in a suit. But if you're more of a casual therapist, then it shouldn't be one with you in a suit. So professional doesn't mean stuffy.
Or, if you're an equine therapist, you might, want to have one at the barn or the stable or with your cowgirl boots on or whatever. Like, it really needs to be authentically you, because your clients, your tribe, they're going to be attracted to that. So
absolutely.
Why don't we go on to number 2?
Okay, number 2, I kind of call this know thy client. What I really mean is, and this topic gets brought up so many times, and I think a lot of therapists are still really struggling with this idea. But in order to have a Psychology Today or any profile, a directory profile that speaks to someone, is you have to pick who it is that you're actually speaking to. You can't appeal to everybody. So know thy client. Basically, you need to have some sort of specialization, some sort of niche, even if you're not spelling it out. I work with teenagers, but you need to know who it is that's reading your profile. And if you try to speak to everybody, your message will get watered down. And those profile directories, you really don't have a lot of space. You may have 200 characters for the whole thing, right? So you have to be able to condense your message and speak directly to who the person is that's reading your profile.
And Laura, I forgot one thing that we didn't share is at the time of this podcast recording, you have actually reviewed over 100 plus Psychology Today profiles. So I think that's important for the audience to know, is why you're so passionate about this. And you've really studied and analyzed this whole process to really help therapists shine on Psychology Today or really any profile. So I just want to remind our audience of that, or actually tell them of that. And then you and I were also talking when we did our Be Live the other day on that most important real estate. Right? Speaking of real estate agents, where's the most important real estate on a profile?
And we're going to get to this. But
am I ahead?
Well, we can do a sneak peek, but yeah, I'll be going over that. Don't you worry. I'm not holding anything back today.
Awesome. So go ahead.
Do you want me to share? Or do you want me to hold off?
We'll keep our listeners captive and make them listen for it.
Yeah, there you go.
Lots of juicy tidbits.
So before we move on, why don't we just take a quick break for our sponsor? Developing and growing a practice can be a huge undertaking between maintaining schedules, organizing client records, submitting insurance claims, and running your own practice. It can be overwhelming. You work hard and deserve to get paid well. Having an electronic medical record, which is a secure and streamlined practice management system like Therapy Notes, you'll have more time to spend with what matters most, your clients. Therapy Notes integrates all aspects of your workflow to help you provide your clients with the best care they deserve and making your life a whole lot easier. From easy-to-use templates to simple electronic claim submission, Therapy Notes has everything you need to maintain client records, schedule appointments, and bill insurance right at your fingertips. Therapy Notes is trusted by over 25,000 clinicians just like you. The best part? Visit therapynotes.com and enter promo code PPS17. That's PPS17, as in Private Practice System 17. And you'll get a 30-day trial in your first year for 10% off. Don't forget to enter that code PPS17. You want to know more about the benefits of Therapy Notes? Join us on a podcast, episode 54 of the Private Practice Startup, where we chat with the owner and creator of Therapy Notes, Brad Pliner. All right, moving on. Where do you want to go, to number 3, or do you want to share that little juicy tidbit?
We're going right in order, guys. We're keeping them hanging on like a cliffhanger.
So what's next?
Okay, so the next thing is the top 2 things that your clients want to know about you. I usually have in my, I have a free video e-course on this, and I usually do a little trivia question, and so I go, what do you think that clients care most about? Do they care about your type of licensure? Do they care about how many years of experience you have? Do they care about where you went to school? Or do they care about why you're so passionate about what it is that you do or who you serve? And so most of the people will probably say what? What do you think?
Well, we're going to say D.
That's what most people say, but it's a trick question.
Is it?
No one cares about any of that.
None of the above.
At least not on your Psychology Today profile. Now, website's a different story. So when it comes to your Psychology Today profile, there are only 2 things that your readers actually care about. And I wanted to share those with you.
Yes, so what are they?
One is that they want to know with 100% certainty that you understand them. And not that you just understand them, but that you know exactly what their experience is, what their pain points are, what they're hoping to achieve out of therapy, why it is that they're even seeking it to begin with. They want you to make sure that you know them better than they know themselves. The number 2 thing is they want to obviously make sure that you can help them. So they actually don't care about you at all. They want to know how you can help them. So yeah, all these profiles that I read that talk about how much experience you have or where you got your degree or what type of treatment modality you use, you're wasting prime real estate with those 200 characters that you typically get in a directory profile talking all about you. And really, that's your first point of contact a lot of the times. So you need to make sure that you are speaking directly to them, you get them, you understand them, and that you can help.
Right. And most often clients really don't know our therapist mumbo jumbo or even care, like you said, about the college or university went to, or if we have a specialization in this or EMDR or Gottman or any other model or modality. They're like, huh? And then like you said, you probably lost them because now they're moving on to the next profile that might sound attracted to them or that might actually touch on their pain points.
Absolutely. Use their words. So something like, I use a solution-focused, client-centered, holistic. It's like no one knows what that means except other therapists. And
Right.
That's not who's reading your profile, unless, of course, your niche is other therapists. But you need to use their words, and their words are not our words.
Gosh, I can't tell you how many times I've rewritten my own Psychology Today profile over the years. I had an awesome Psych Today profile when I first started out, and I had it for many years, and it was working for me. But then I decided to get more niche-based, and I didn't copy what the original Psych Today profile was. And I've tried to rewrite that bad boy like 10 times, and I've never gotten the same response that I had from what I originally had. So I'm so excited hearing all of your tips and these suggestions, because I'm totally going to go back to my Psych Today profile and experiment with these suggestions.
And talking about like really speaking your client's language, one of my interns had just done her script for her intro video, and I went over it with her, which I don't know, I just love doing that stuff. And she was talking about like pregnancy therapy, and I said, what is that? Like, is that a thing? And I go, do you even think your clients are searching for that? And she's like, no. I'm like, well, what are they searching for? Like, why are they struggling? So we really reworked her whole script and it came out really awesome. And she really was able to just really connect with and speak right to her ideal clients. And it was just super cool. So yeah, so no therapy mumbo jumbo for sure.
You guys are such badasses as I'm listening to it.
Right back at you, girl.
Spot it, you got it.
Whoop. Okay, so how much time or how are we doing on time? Because I know we've got, 2 things to talk about left?
Yeah, we're good. Let's keep going.
Okay, so now is like the best part of my whole thing. So this is the formula. Here we go, guys. The 3-paragraph formula of how I write Psychology Today profiles that convert. You ready?
We're ready.
Okay. The first paragraph. Here we go. Your first 1 to 2 sentences is prime real estate. There we go. So when people are first looking at Psychology Today and they're browsing all these profiles, they can't read your whole thing. They can only read the first 1 to 2 sentences of your profile. So if your first sentence says something like, hi, my name is Laura Long and I'm a blah, 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 you're lost in the mix because you're not actually speaking to them. They can already see what your name is in the top part of your profile. So you need to use that 1 to 2 sentences first thing to pop. Talk directly to them, that person. What is it that they're going through? In fact, start your profile with you, as in quote unquote you. You are going through this. You are dealing with this. You don't know when this happened, that sort of thing. So the first paragraph, the theme for me is, this is what I'm hoping to get across in my profile to my readers is I know you better than you know yourself. That is the whole first paragraph. You're talking about them. What is their pain points? Why is it that they're seeking treatment? What is really going on for them? And don't be afraid to take risks and be really specific based on who your niche market is. Okay. So that's step 1 or paragraph 1. Paragraph 2, you only have 50 characters in a traditional Psychology Today profile, so you have to condense your message even more. So paragraph 2, my formula is paint the dream scenario for your reader, the person visiting. What is it that they're hoping that therapy will help them to achieve? So paint that picture for them of what it is that they want. Okay.
I love that. It's almost like inviting them to answer the miracle question. It's like their vision of how their life will be when all of the problems are solved.
And can I give a little ninja tip here? So one of the things that I do is actually on my form, but also when a potential client calls. So guys, we're going to suggest to you that you guys utilize your clients or potential clients as like market research. So when your potential client calls, you might want to ask them that, what do you hope is the outcome of therapy or for your relationship or for your child? What is your dream scenario here? Or if I can help you, what will happen? And so they're going to tell you the exact words that you probably then want to translate to your profile, your website, and all those things. So utilize those conversations you're having with your clients or potential clients to actually help you create your directory.
You guys bring up such a good point. Writing copy is a huge challenge for a lot of therapists. They don't really know, how do I sound professional and authentic at the same time? And what you did just now is lay it out, that it doesn't take a whole lot of thinking. Your copy can basically write itself if you're paying attention to what are the words and phrases that your clients are already saying to you.
Exactly. And truth be told, when I first started out, it took me 2 weeks to write 1 page of content for my website. No joke.
I believe it.
And one of my websites took me 1 year because I dreaded writing content because it was such a hard thing to go from that professional self with boundaries to being authentic. And now I actually write all the stories for our podcast episodes and I love it. It's just a lot of fun being authentic and natural and sharing a story and connecting. And so, we're going to give you guys, a permission slip and say, do that. And if you're concerned, like, is this too much? Have a colleague review it. But ultimately, that authenticity is so important.
Yes, here we go again.
Woo!
Laura, I think you have the most cowbell rings podcast.
This is epic for sure.
I want to know what my award is. I'm just kidding.
We'll send you a cowbell of your own.
Yes, we will, actually.
Only if it has your logo on it, right?
Yes, absolutely.
You can put yours on the back. How about that?
Okay.
So I'm dying to know, what's the third piece?
Third piece. You only have 50 characters on a Psychology Today profile for this third paragraph. I want you to start, what's the word I'm looking for? Transitioning. You are transitioning to this call to action. So my theme for the third paragraph is, if you don't already know I'm the therapist for you, here are just a few reasons why I am different from everyone else, or these are the few things that set me apart. Now, you don't literally say that. That's just what's going on in your head. So when you're writing this third paragraph, it's what are maybe you offer services on the weekends, or maybe you have evening appointments, or maybe you do online scheduling, whatever it is that it makes you unique. Maybe it's your approach. If you're a little bit more like me, I'm a little bit more direct, straightforward, shocker, as a therapist. And so I put that on there. And then that very, very last sentence is a call to action. You want them to go to your website. Your website is where they're going to learn more, where they're going to schedule any of the things that you originally thought should be on a profile, like how many years of experience you have or anything about you. That would go on your website. So the third paragraph is, if you don't already know I'm the therapist for you, here are a few things that set me apart further, and go to my website to schedule.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, I'm really excited for our next podcast where we actually put all this stuff right to use.
Yes, people will be able to hear you live giving feedback and suggestions for the Psych Today profiles, 2 of them actually. So that's super exciting. So let's take a moment to have you just review the 5 tips and then share the last one with our listeners.
Sure. Okay. So making sure that you have a headshot that really demonstrates your personality, not in a bar, something that's clear and demonstrates who you are and your brand. Number 2, know thy client. So making sure that you are speaking specifically to a certain ideal client, a certain market, reaching their true pain points, not being general. Number 3 would be the 2 things that they want to know, 3A, 3B. So they want to make sure that you understand them and that you can help them. And then 4 would be my 3-step formula, or my 3-paragraph formula. And then last but not least, kind of putting it all together, is you want to make sure that all of the things on the right-hand side of your profile, so your treatment orientation, specialties, issues that you treat, that should also be consistent with all of the copy that's in your profile. So if you say that, or if you claim to treat everybody, every issue, you utilize every treatment modality, you've already lost me. So I want you to be consistent on that right side, and including some extra pictures of your office. You guys have that ability to do that, or that option on your profile, but so many therapists don't take it. So if you have a few pictures of your office, if I were a potential client, I would want to see, what does the office look like? Is it in a rundown building, or is there, crappy furniture from Craigslist in there? So if you have a beautiful office, showcase that on your profile. That would really help me if I were a client. So that's kind of just a few little tweaks, putting it all together. It's like icing on the cake is my last point.
Awesome. And, guys, if you want to connect with Laura, and you might connect with her brand and her style, she has lots of great resources. So we want to just really direct you right to her website. And so her website is, of course, yourbadasstherapypractice.com. And she has a ton of stuff there for you guys. So definitely do that. And of course, you're going to listen to the next podcast episode, because you're going to really want to hear all these juicy tidbits that we're going to talk about. So Startup Nation, thanks so much for tuning in. We've had a blast today, and we look forward to our next episode with Laura Long from Your Badass Therapy Practice. Don't forget to subscribe, rate, and review, and go to the show notes page for all the tips, resources, and ways to connect with Laura. Have a great and fabulous day.
See you later, Startup Nation.
Stay inspired.
Thanks for joining us on The Private Practice Startup. Visit theprivatepracticestartup.com for awesome resources, free trainings, attorney-approved private practice paperwork, and so much more.